Hello there my fellow tech aficionados and welcome back to the channel. I just came back from my first ever trip to China with a bucket load of content and sample footage I shot with this guy, the all-new Honour Magic8 Pro. So far this one was only officially announced in China and the global and especially the European launch will be in early 2026. But I still got to use it for some time now as my daily driver and especially during this trip, and Honour graciously allowed me to walk you through all the hardware specs and share some insights into the camera and of course also show you what this puppy is capable of for all your visual content needs. In Shenzhen we also got the rare opportunity to peek behind the curtain and see how this one is actually made. And not just some curated presentation, but I literally stood right next to the production line, all the way from soldering the motherboard to mounting the cameras and to packing the finished phone. So please sit back, relax and let me tell you more about Honour plans to compete in the realm of high-end flagship phones in 2026. Let's get into it. Alright, before we get into it, a little disclaimer. Honour flew me out to China and covered the costs for flights and accommodation. They also made sure we had a good time, but nonetheless they did not get to see this video before you guys and had also absolutely no say in the content. And everything I'm going to tell you is entirely my very own subjective opinion. And with that out of the way, how about I tell you what the Magic 8 Pro got under the hood, and what better way to tell you about the specs than when running alongside the actual production line. As I mentioned before, it all starts with the motherboard itself, and in a pretty elaborate, well, let's call it a sort of printing process, all the components get soldered to the board. And at the heart of it all is, of course, Snapdragon's latest and greatest, the 8 Elite Gen 5, alongside 12 gigs of RAM and 512 GB of storage. Since this one right here is an early sample with not quite final software, we cannot really talk about performance yet. But in my roughly 3 weeks of using this one, I can assure you, you will hardly have to worry about your smartphone not being able to keep up with whatever you're doing. After the motherboard is complete, it gets fitted into the chassis, and to power it all, you need a battery of course. As with some other Chinese companies, the capacity situation is a bit tricky, and while the global version of the 8 Pro gets a whopping 7100 mAh battery, the Europe variant has to make do with roughly 6300 because of regulations. For our final review, we will test both phones, so it will be very interesting to see how that difference translates into the real world. After the battery is in place, it's time for the cameras, and the Magic 8 Pro comes once again with 3 sensors, with the ultra-wide and main shooter being of the 50 megapixel variant, while the telephoto dials things up to 11 with a 200 megapixel resolution. As impressive as these numbers may sound, it's pretty much what we got in the Magic 7 Pro. So let's see if there's a noticeable improvement overall, and if you need a refresher for the predecessor, make sure to check out our video from earlier this year. Alright, that's cameras, so all that's missing is the display, and then we need to bring it all together. Taking care of your visuals is a 120Hz LTPO panel with a 28:8 by 1256 pixel resolution rated for more than 6000 nits, even though I'm pretty sure Honour is talking about peak HDR brightness here. But given that the 7 Pro gave us a pretty good 1600 nits for a full white image, and that I never had the feeling that the 8's display wasn't bright enough even in direct sunlight during our trip here, I think you are well covered for all of your daily needs and when enjoying YouTube or your favorite Netflix shows or movies. All that's left for now is to bring it all together, and again, similar to its predecessor, the Magic 8 Pro presents itself as a clean looking fella coming in 3 subtle colors that should pretty much match every taste out there. It's also incredibly well balanced, being neither too heavy to be cumbersome to use nor too light, so with this one you got yourself a pretty good looking and feeling premium smartphone. It's also not just all show, and this one is rated for IP68, IP69 and IP69K, meaning you should not have to worry about the 8 Pro having any problems when it gets either dusty or wet. And during our factory tour, Honour also showed us how they absolutely abuse these poor things to make sure your new smartphone is ready for your daily life. So yeah, this is the Magic 8 Pro and how it's made, and I really got to say it was incredible to see how an almost fully automated production line being monitored by not even a dozen people can chew out a bucket load of new phones every hour. And we are not just talking assembly here, but the 8 Pro also gets stress tested, calibrated, updated, and of course inspected from all angles and across all of its functions to make sure you get exactly what you pay for before it gets packaged and sent to your doorstep. But of course, we did not spend all of our time in China in a factory, but we also had a ton of opportunities to test the camera system. And I got to say, especially the telephoto zoom lens left me impressed. Not only when it comes to the actual image quality, but also when it comes to stabilization, video, and especially in low light scenarios. That said, I would have liked to see some upgrades for the main and ultra-wide lens, just to differentiate this one a little more from its predecessor. That said, the 8 Pro is still a very capable companion for all of your shooting needs, and especially when traveling, the flexibility you are getting with such a system is a ton of fun, since you get a lot of different angles at your disposal. The primary camera also supports log-in video mode, which is great if you want to capture a wider dynamic range. Just keep in mind that you would have to color grade everything yourself before being able to use any of the shots. I got to admit though, I rarely used it, since I prefer having the flexibility to shoot across all lenses. And once again, especially the zoom lens combined with its impressive stabilization capabilities makes for some great shots when being out and about. Video quality in general also doesn't really leave much to complain about, and considering we are still talking about a phone here, well, I would have no problem at all using these shots for some of our videos. Circling back to photography and that zoom lens, well, I really got quite addicted to shooting these zoomed in details, both in Shenzhen and on my last day in Hong Kong. And it's such a different perspective, marveling at all the details such impressive cities have to offer. I sometimes felt the images came out a little flat, both in color and in contrast, but for me personally, that's fine, since I do some additional tweaking for most of my social needs anyways, so it actually gives me a bit more flexibility. But your mileage may vary depending on how involved you want to be after you got your favorite shots. Please enjoy some more sample photos, and if you want to see the finished graded photos, make sure to head on over to my Instagram and check out the corresponding highlights for all the story posts I did in China. And for all you Pixel peepers out there, we will also have a corresponding preview article on the website, giving you the opportunity to check out a few of my photos down to the pixel level to your heart's content. You can find all the necessary links in the description below. Alright folks, that should already be it for the all-new Honour Magic 8 Pro for now. If you're interested how Honour's new flagship stacks up against the competition, make sure to leave your subscription, since I'm working on a proper comparison for all the flagships being released so far. If you enjoyed our little preview, make sure to leave your like, it's always appreciated and helps us out tremendously. Thanks a ton for watching, good people. My name is Alex, you have been fantastic as always, and I can't wait to see you all in the next one. Take care.